Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Adjusting Operations to Keep Your Food and Beverage Business Afloat. Exciting news. We have 25% open occupancy for February 1st. So I know everybody has been really working hard to get ready for welcoming guests back inside, and it is long overdue. So one of the things that I want to talk about today with everybody, we have Tony Vu, who's going to be here a little bit later, and he's a really creative business owner within the food and beverage industry. So he has a focused product. A lot of our restaurants have so many different menu items that you guys are just trying to keep up with. And so we're going to talk about that today. We have a lot of different things. So to start off, yes, I am Emily Mara, a food and beverage industry expert here in Michigan with the SBDC, and I cover the I-69 and Thumb corridor. I do have a few slides that I want to share with you today just to kind of tell you a little bit about what the SBDC is, and then we will get into the meat of this production. So if we can get those slides up. All right, so we've already told you what we're going to talk about today. We are the Michigan SBDC, so our customer groups include new ventures, existing businesses, growth companies, and also advanced technology companies. So there are a lot of different groups that we work with at the SBDC. My specialization is food and beverage, but we have a plethora of specialists that can help you in a multitude of different business objectives. So we'll go ahead. We do offer no cost one-to-one business consulting. So it is a really great opportunity for business owners to not have to come out of pocket. I know often everybody's stretched so far as food and beverage goes. You know, I've always learned that the 15 cents that you make off of that dollar that you bring in, you got to sell a lot of dollars worth of food to really cover additional costs of consulting. So this no-cost one-to-one business consulting is very valuable. We offer business education. We also have information-based planning through secondary market research and technology commercialization. So our services, again, we have a suite of services that you can get tapped into. You're just going to want to join us at our Facebook page, or you can see us on our website and get involved with what we have going on and really get on our books, because everybody is looking for help, but we need to make sure we're scheduled out as well. So we can go to the next slide. Our teams include, we have small business teams, individuals who specialize in growth for your business, export assistance, and technology commercialization. So again, we have so many individuals who are just really specialized within their industries, and can't wait to share our expertise with you. We have training also. So our education programs are really valuable because you can hop on for an hour. You can learn a lot. You can then see who we are as consultants and see if maybe you want to do some further one-on-one consulting with us. So the business education programs you can find at sbdcmichigan.org/training. Our region, as I had mentioned, is the I-69 Thumb corridor. So Kettering is our partner, that is our local network partner. The way that we're funded at the SBDC is through the SBA. So a lot of you who are applying for different loans have probably heard of the SBA recently, if you hadn't before now. We also are part of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation. So the MEDC helps to fund us. And then, as I said, those matching local networks. So you can see the entire state of Michigan is covered by one of our regions. So even if you're watching outside of the I-69 Thumb corridor, please do visit the SBDC Michigan website and get locked into some of these services that we offer. And I'm back. So we do have a few individuals who are here. Thank you for hosting this webinar today. We are so excited to be hosting this webinar for you. I am really thrilled to be joined with Tony Vu here shortly. He is from Mamong, which is a Vietnamese pho restaurant. I'm not sure if anyone who has had pho before, but it is a process that you go through to make this dish. And it is just kind of a labor of love, which a lot of people who get into the food and beverage industry, that's why we start. We love cooking for people. We love community. We like to create community. And through COVID, it's really been difficult to be able to create that community without welcoming people through your doors. So everybody's had to pivot, and then you've had to pivot again. Then you've had to change directions and say, okay, now we're closed completely, or it's just takeout again. So I know that everybody is really wanting to get back to the normal, and we're hoping that we can get there, but we're not there yet, and we're not out of the woods. So again, we are still realizing adjustments to our operations. So we want to make sure that your business is not just afloat, but that you are thriving past COVID. I am going to welcome Tony Mamong here with me today, and make sure that everybody gets to hear his great story and what he's done to create really a niche market. Right now he's operating within the Flint Farmers Market, and started there. He's going to be going into the Flint Social Club. So again, although it's been a tough time and a difficult time, it's also a time where people can persevere, where you can be creative, where you can break outside of the complacency that is the four walls of your establishment and really make a difference and an impact within the community. So I would like to welcome Tony Mamong today, and we'll hopefully have him on the screen soon. Welcome, Tony. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
You are a busy man. So in addition to Mamong, you have Flint Social Club that is going to be opening here probably in the spring, I think is what we had last talked about, maybe the summer time.
Yeah, we're still looking at some kind of smaller footprint capacity. It's the project's basically going to be phased into two phases now, but we're still working with it well within that timeline, and just kind of being really just kind of conscious, I guess, of what we're doing and what we're offering and how we're building everything out. Just as the food world continues to evolve, and we understand what the reality of it is.
Absolutely. And you also have the Good Bowl that's up in Traverse City, right?
Correct.
Okay. And what is the Good Bowl?
So the Good Bowl is a full, quick, pretty much like a larger quick service version of Mamong. We're located in Traverse City, right on Front Street. In addition to doing pho and banh mi's, which are the classic traditional dishes that we do at Mamong, we also have a much larger expanded menu. I think we have something like 25 different dishes or something up there, and full liquor license, and and also in addition to that, we opened up a food truck this past summer as well.
Awesome. So you've pivoted. You have pivoted, and then you've remained relevant, and you've grown, and you've kept your staff safe. I saw that you actually decided that you were going to close for about, I think, a week or so, just to really make sure, because people weren't wearing masks when they were coming into your space. And I think that that's kind of crazy that some people at the Flint Farmers Market still weren't, as consumers, wearing masks around and thinking about the people who you're employed too.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult, and it still is a little bit difficult as well. I think for the most part, everybody is respectful, of us, of each other, and everything. You do still get, just kind of a few, kind of loose ends like here and there, but I think especially in the beginning, something that really isn't talked about a lot is just the mental health of food workers. We already work under really stressful conditions as it is. It's just the nature of the business. But then you add on to that, all these other factors of the pandemic, of being safe. I mean, we are pretty much frontline workers. We haven't shut down. The people have to eat, and we've been there every single day throughout every phase of opening and shutdown and whatever. Still serving. So. It takes a lot, a lot. It's a huge load to carry, I think, mentally. And so, for me, it was really important to make sure that, I created an environment that felt safe for my employees.
Wonderful. And have you been able to retain all of your employees through this period of COVID, or have you had to, look at downsizing and having to let people go?
been able to retain everybody. In the beginning, it was like an immediate shift. We had the conversation with everybody. It was like one of the toughest things I've ever had to do, and hopefully I never have to do ever again. But we kind of like went through and just really thought about like who, my management went through and thought about who actually needed the job, who really relied on the paycheck to get by, and who could kind of maybe were going to be okay if they didn't have the job. And so we did that. We gave everybody 2 weeks pay, like when we went off as well. And then, that was just for the initial, kind of first phase period. But then as we started to kind of pick back up and adjust to online ordering and takeout, we saw we were fortunate enough to have the support in the community to where we could, hire everybody back and pretty much keep our operations going.
Awesome. Yeah, you've done a beautiful job, and I am a big fan of the show and tell. So the reason that I know a lot about you and a lot about your Mamang business is because you do a really great job with your social media. And I think that, we eat with our eyes sometimes, and food is just such a beautiful creation. And so your pictures and your images, really, every time I see it, I just feel like I want to race over to Flint and get myself a bowl of pho. But you also created packages for to go. So it was something that I loved it, because I always go over and I pick it up, but then I'm driving about a half hour, and sometimes the noodles will become a little bit too soft. So thinking about, to go is not going to go away, right? People will still continue to get to go once the restaurants start opening back up, once people are welcomed back into spaces. So you were really smart with this, and the way that you have the soup that people can just warm up piping hot, then you have the other ingredients in another container, and you just pour the soup over it. It was the easiest preparation for me once I got it home. So, that took, it wasn't right in the beginning that I saw you marketing that. Did you always offer that?
Oh, hello?
Yes. Are you there?
Sorry about that. I think I lost you for a second.
Okay. So did you always offer that to go option, or is that something that you recently started doing? Because I just saw it marketed recently.
Right. So we kind of always did, just as like a side like kind of thing. It was never anything at the forefront, at least at Mamang. And then in Traverse, at the Good Bowl in Traverse City, right before the first shutdown, we had already actually had been. We're about to launch our website and online ordering and everything as well. And so that worked out, the timing of that worked out perfectly. But if there's one kind of, in this world of pivots and shutdowns and new environments that happens and everything, it's been a year now, and so one thing that I've learned that is constant is that, you have to, if you really want to thrive through this, through everything, you have to have a solid to go takeout kind of game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you hit the nail on the head. I think, everybody is kind of like waiting for this, like, quote unquote return to normal. But, the way I look at it is that this is the norm, maybe, at some point we'll hopefully we'll have, more seats and be able to do dine-in service again. But, this is, even with that, people are still going to order out. People's habits have started to change and shift. Mm-hmm. And so, along with that, you really have to start thinking about, as from a food provider, how to carry on that experience that you give, not just indoors, but then also at home when people, take your food home as well. And it's not just being, just with something that you cook up and it's hot that, that your customers take home and eat right away. If you start thinking about ways to actually prolong that experience, and it's not just in leftovers, but if you offer, like for myself, cold, refrigeratable kind of dishes that, maybe the next day you can easily like heat up, that extends that kind of experience, that where they go in, maybe they're going to buy a bowl of pho to eat right away, but then they'll also get like what we call bots, which is broth on the side. And all you have to do is heat up the broth and pour it, and then you have it again for the weekend kind of thing. So, just really being able to kind of diversify your offerings and really diversify the experience, of your restaurant and your products, away from just from just eating there, at your establishment. I think is really important.
Mm-hmm. Now, some things do not translate well for to go, right? There's some things that people have on your menu, and just take it off for now. Think about it. Think about the customer experience, because if a consumer is not going to have that consistent experience of what they would have in your space when they take it home, it creates a disconnect for your brand, right? And so now, even though
disconnected, I mean, it really waters down and has a negative effect over your brand. If somebody, is entrusting you to be able to, order your food for their dinner, and that's their sustenance for the evening, and then they get home and they end up eating it, and it's just like a soggy whatever, like, mess, and it's not good.
Or a hockey puck, or it's a hockey puck.
That doesn't really reflect well. So, that's a great point that you brought up, and it's something that I've really taken to. So when we start, kind of thinking about specials or like weekly specials and things like that, that's one of the criteria that passes through is like, is this something that is going to translate into takeout? Because as of now, obviously, 100% of our food is takeout, but even peak summer in Traverse City, when when the kind of levels were low, we had this little window of like, going out and just kind of like feeling like you were safe and everything. Even at that, with 50% capacity, we were still doing about 60% takeout. So it's huge, and it's something that you really have to just kind of consider as far as what you actually put out there, and how that carries your brand.
Wonderful. So you had mentioned you have online ordering now, Tony, right? What platform, because a lot of people are struggling with platforms to use, what technology is going to work for them. What did you end up going with?
So our POS systems at both my restaurants are through Square. And so for Mamang, I just use the actual Squarespace website. It's a free kind of part of like the Square package. It's really easy. They have templates and everything as well. So I was able to pretty much set that up like overnight, through Square. In Traverse City, we have a third-party vendor called GoParrot. There's multiple companies like this that basically just create a platform that sits on top of whatever your POS platform is, whether it's Clover, or Square, or whatever as well. So I think having that kind of rich experience, though, like being able to order and really get as many options as you want is really important. What we found out was that when we actually put every single option, as far as like upsells or add-ons or whatever, to our dishes, people started ordering more and customizing their orders more because they had all those options and everything. So
Wonderful.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to. It's a lot. I think for a lot of people to try to wrap their head around, like building a website, and putting up all your items and everything. And I think you don't have to think about it that way. It doesn't have to be perfect right off the bat. I think if you just kind of, even if you started off with like some staple items, things that you're known for, and just started with that, that's perfectly fine, and that's perfectly okay. I think people, they just want to see some kind of offering from you, and you don't have to like overburden yourself with trying to be too complex or anything, because ultimately you just want a really nice streamlined experience. And if you're known for something, for a certain dish or a few dishes, by all means, like, push that, like that's your bread and butter, and so you want to figure out how to get that experience of eating that dish out in as many ways as possible.
Indeed, we do. And I know as a consumer, taking my consulting side off, but it's frustrating when you're calling to want to support a business or want to support a restaurant, and you keep getting busy signal.
Right.
And it's busy, for 20 minutes, and it's you don't want to feel angry, because how much these restaurants need the business, but you also are like, okay, now I'm going to go somewhere else. And so we create that need for other people to go elsewhere. And so making sure you capture as many of your customers as possible, is imperative. So definitely online ordering. Do you have any call-in ordering? Do you offer people to call to place an order with you?
We do it all, from like calls to even like some people will message us directly on Facebook as well. So we'll take, there's no reason to not take, or at least in my opinion, to not take orders kind of thing, so any way that whatever works for everyone else. The only things that we don't do is, deal with the third party delivery apps. But that kind of goes to show you, like, if people are willing to pay a 30% premium, sometimes even more, to get your food in an accessible way, to get it delivered and everything, and they're willing to pay that, then imagine, what it goes to show you, I guess, that, people will find a way to get your food if you don't offer it to them. And so, you really are missing out, if you don't have these kinds of options, and a more kind of dynamic way of being able to order your food.
Absolutely. So, Tony, you've worked with the SBDC, you've worked with many of the consultants, right? Through the SBDC, between Harry and myself. Have you found value with working with the SBDC and the consultants that we have?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you guys are pretty much like kind of like my business friends, it's just like this really cool, like, kind of thing, and that, relationship. I mean, I'll start, it started with just like, some very specific like projects or help or whatever that I needed. And since then it just kind of bloomed into like, like getting emails like all the time of like different opportunities and like grants and things like that, or just, just really kind of cool things. And so, yeah, it's definitely one of the relationships that I cherish, as far as like being able to run a business and not feel like you're alone, and that you have to figure all this out by yourself. All these, that's kind of like the beauty of it, is that there are all these amazing programs and organizations, locally, wherever you may find yourself, that are out there to help you. And so if you can kind of tap into that network, then, you have a whole crew basically of support behind you.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, because we do want to encourage people after this, because it's only the 30 minutes. We've got 5 more minutes. It doesn't look like we have a whole lot of questions that were put in. But, I implore everyone to reach out to the SBDC, to visit our website, sbdcmichigan.org, and get signed up. Submit a request for consulting and have one of us reach out to you, because it really is, like Tony said, we are a team that come together and come support you. And, being in business can be a really stressful, difficult thing, and you feel like you're alone a lot of times. So with us, we kind of are that phone a friend, right, Tony?
Much so.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait for Flint Social Club to open. Are there other things that you want to share with us about how you pivoted, or and I love that you are online. I love that you have the online ordering. I think everyone should have that, not just the pizza places that are the national chains. Like, our small businesses really need to be accessible for the consumer, because, like you said, people want to support these restaurants. And if they're willing to pay a 30 to 45% premium on your food, let them order directly from you, because then they'll spend a few more dollars on, with you directly. Like Tony said, now that he's seeing adding different options, adding mushrooms, adding, maybe extra sriracha, or if you want the porcelain spoon or any of those things, you're bringing that revenue to you instead of giving it to another business that's honestly not going to always represent your food the best either, because they may be doing 4 or 5 pickups before they're delivering. So, thinking about the quality of your food, making sure that it is consistent with your brand and that it represents why you started, like why you created this company that you created. And so, let's see, we do have, what grants did you apply for? So we've got a question from Harry. What grants did you apply for, Tony?
I applied for all of them, basically. No, literally every single one that was available that came across, my desk, whatever. It was just like, whatever is out there, that's just kind of what you got to do. I would say I had maybe about a 25% success rate, which was pretty awesome, to be honest. I ended up getting a match grant from SBDC through Patronicity. They matched up to $5,000 that I could raise, and we were able to raise the whole amount. I also got a Restart Small Business Grant through the Genesee Chamber of Commerce, which was really amazing as well. And then I was also able to acquire a PPP loan early on the first round as well. And so all those little injections were, I mean, they're the whole reason why we're still operating here. It provided some much needed, breathing room to be able to actually figure out all these different ways, to really thrive, or try to figure out how to thrive through this whole period.
Are you going to apply for the next round of PPP that came out? Just out of curiosity? Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah, just got the guidance actually today on how to apply. So we'll be doing that right away.
Excellent. Okay, and then we have another question here. Is there a fee to use the Square online ordering?
If you already have a Square account and you're using their services to take credit cards and everything, then it's free.
Awesome. That's great to news, because I know a lot of people, they just don't know where to start, and the first step to start is contacting the SBDC, and then we can get you hooked up into as many of the programs as we can possibly find for you. So thank you to everyone who has joined us today. Tony, do you have any last minute words that you want to share, or any insight about what's happening with you?
Yeah, I would say, just like I said, just kind of keep going on with, the sooner that you can kind of suspend this idea that, like, we're going to return back to some kind of normal, then I think the sooner you'll be able to actually figure out what your restaurant, your business is going to look like for now and into the future. And so much of that depends on your relationship with your customers, the people that go to bat for you, that don't want to see you disappear. And so just doing whatever you can to really maintain, that connection, whether it's through food and different ways of serving your food, to, doing online cooking classes, which is something that I never thought that I would do, but I've done now, I think 12 in the last 2 months. And people love that kind of interaction, especially when they're trying to cook food at home and not everybody's like a cook and everything. Just being able to have that kind of guidance, I guess, is also huge. So, just don't give up. Just constantly just try to learn, try to stay on the ball, and if you kind of use those kind of tenets to guide you, I think you'll be able to figure out ways to thrive through it all.
Awesome. Yeah, absolutely. Keep on keeping on, and there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And like you said, people want to support you, so give them the ways that they can support you as easy as possible. So thank you all for joining us today. Thank you, Tony. You are a joy and just a great client, and a good friend to work with. So it's been a privilege getting to know you, and I can't wait for Flint Social Club. And if people want to learn more about the Flint Social Club, they can reach out to Tony or Mamong. Make sure that you do check out their food, because it is amazing. And have a great week. It's Monday, so like we said, February 1st, right, is going to be the first day that we're going to be able to open up restaurants at 25%.
Yep.
So make sure your staff has a COVID policy. Make sure that you have things in place, protocols, procedures. Make sure your staff is trained and ready to welcome people in with a smile safely. So stay safe and take care.
And I would also add, if at 25%, it's not really much. And so also realize that, like, the people that do get in and can dine in, I mean, that's something special, so do whatever you can to make that special, whether it's a special menu or dine-in only options, or, whatever it is. It's something that we definitely
100% make it special. Yeah, couldn't say it any better. Thanks for your time, Tony. Thank you again, everybody, for being here. And hopefully we'll have another webinar coming up soon, but have a great day.
All right, thanks. Have a good one.
Thank you.